What's that sound? Nice.
Who are you?
Call me Snake.
I'll start by saying I'm only a casual fan of the Metal Gear Solid franchise. Regardless, I was no less excited over the release of this remake of Metal Gear Solid 3. Personally, I've been feeling a general fatigue of remakes in both movies and games, though there's no denying that they do prove financially successful. Even so, it's easy to question the necessity of certain remakes. The Last of Us Part 1 felt unnecessary because the game already had a polished release on PS4. Outside the graphics, it's still the exact same game, except now it still costs $60 for what's still a PS3 game and takes up 78 gigs. Dude, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black looks so cool. 85 gigs for an Xbox 360 game. My PS3 doesn't even have enough storage for this PS3 game. I was bewildered over the announcement of this game because it already had a decent enough re-release on modern platforms via the Master Collection, and for $20, which I don't think is too bad for a PS2 game. Delta, on the other hand, is being treated like a modern game at a modern price. $70 for what's still ultimately a PS2 game at its core. Are the updated graphics alone worth that price of admission? Currently, there seems to be a consensus that graphical fidelity in games has sort of plateaued. Those without a keen eye to spot rendering enhancements may agree that there hasn't been much perceptible improvements in graphic fidelity lately. Most games from the PS4 generation could still be released today and pass off as a modern title, really only limited by internal resolutions and frame rates. There's most likely never going to be such a noticeable advancement in gaming visuals like going from N64 PS1 to GameCube PS2. It's why I feel remakes are so popular, because it's the last way to see such progression in a more direct comparison. Of course, any real one would know graphics certainly aren't everything. To me especially, there's a key difference between fidelity and polish, since games will always be products of their time visually. A game's art style is far more integral to its visual identity, which is where a remake could be rightfully criticized. Shadow of the Colossus looks gorgeous on PS4, yet is still more visually interesting on PS2. The world is supposed to be a forbidden wasteland void of life, which is conveyed more convincingly in the original. Wander's expression in the original communicates so many emotions: discontentment, frustration, apathy. Now compare that to Beyond the cutting-edge technology, it's those nuanced bits of polish that truthfully carry a game's visual identity. Delta, I feel, does a great job capturing the expressions and emotions from the original. Anyone else love when a render gets updated? Delta kind of feels like that to me. The original is still an amazing looking game, but I gotta admit, even in gameplay, I find the animation work admittedly nicer to look at in the remake, where the original could look a little keyframey. Out of all the games that even deserve the remake treatment, MGS 3 really shouldn't have been on anybody's list. But it still feels justified since Konami painstakingly remastered the original cutscenes for a goddamn pachinko machine. The moment you show fans what could be, then it's all they're going to be asking for. So it does feel celebratory to see this game finally get the real deal remake treatment. But would the updated visuals alone be worth the $70? The discussion on video game pricing has been surfacing again lately thanks to Nintendo declaring Mario Kart now costs $80. Frankly, video games have always been expensive as hell. The game was full price at one point. Adjusting for inflation, it would bid for about $80. I know I definitely would have paid full price for this game back in the day, so I suppose I can't be too bothered in paying full price for it now, especially when it looks like this. That said, this is a one-to-one remake of the original. It's a tough sell for old players and even new players who could experience the same content at a much more affordable price. Delta does include a small handful of additional content as well as a slew of quality of life features. Frankly, I'm always more interested in gameplay improvements over visual enhancements, so for me the real question is, does Delta improve the core gameplay enough to justify dropping full price for it again? To start, I'm happy to say that 99% of the original's core content is retained in this remake, so if you don't already own the game, then it is in the remake's favor as the definitive version to snag. Even owners of the HD versions would probably be happy to see that the subsistence content like the Snake vs. Monkey minigame, Guy Savage Nightmare sequence, and even the original Secret Theater are included in the remake. I still feel it's content that never should have been cut in the first place, but I digress. There's a new Bomberman mode for players on Xbox, but I didn't buy the game on Xbox. They've even gone to make all new Secret Theater shorts using the remake's assets, which I feel were done in good taste. Got a good laugh out of me, which I'll always appreciate. I never would have expected that not only did they bring back the Guy Savage mode, they've completely revamped it into something that resembles an actual video game with cinematics, music, and expanded mechanics. All the same customization options from the original are retained, as well as a slew of additional modern additions. Of course, being a modern game, the release of Delta is complemented by the obligatory pre-order bonus, deluxe edition, limited time, collector's bundle bullshit. Look, this crap is cute and all, but all I'm saying is that this remake would have been a lot cooler if this stuff was just included in the base game and not pawned off in a $15 DLC. Luckily, it's completely cosmetic and mostly superfluous. It's cool that they've added new I like options before starting the game, which is sure to titillate Metal Gear fans. Okay, that's all the crap in the menus. Let's get to the actual game. The key inclusion in this remake is a new play style. Ever since Subsistence, they've added a fully 3D camera, which was a small but transformative inclusion that helped the game be more accessible while retaining the core controls. I'll admit, I was a little confused when they showed the new style because I thought it was just the third-person camera but gussied up to sell this remake compared to the original release. That's decisively not the case, but I was also curious how faithful Legacy style would fare. I've always had an appreciation for old-school design, and the thought of essentially playing a graphically cracked-out MSX game was pretty cool to me. Functionally, it is the original play experience in terms of perspective. Most new players probably wouldn't dream of playing the game this way, but I'd highly encourage all players to make this at least how they play for the first time. Metal Gear Solid 3 is a toy box of game mechanics, and this limited perspective really encourages getting the most out of them. Come on, it's old school. Playing the game this way made all the smaller enhancements more noticeable to me. For starters, I'll admit I struggled with the controls quite a bit near the beginning. Metal Gear Solid as a franchise has one of the most consistent control schemes, with the mainline entries having the exact same button layouts for each of the games, from the MSX installments to MGS4. This remake mostly stays the same, but the remapping of the weapon and item buttons to the D-pad opposed to the triggers took a while to get used to. In the spirit of fairness, the MGS games are pretty notorious for having strange control schemes, especially in the original, which used pressure-sensitive button functionality. Now for me, I love that kind of weird shit, but there's truth in that it makes it tricky to adapt to more conventional controllers. The Master Collection version, for example, had to make some unorthodox accommodations to work around it, like mapping the action of lowering your weapon to the left stick, stick click. Trying to aim and shoot in first person mode is kind of a mess because of it. One thing I was excited for this remake is the opportunity to give this game a more comprehensible control scheme, while still retaining all unique functions of the original. All the original pressure sensitive functions are now simply mapped to the triggers, which is a sensible change, and exciting for those who love to dick around in the cutscenes. The new controls do admittedly feel more consistent in the remake. Changing the stalking mechanic from the D-pad to a button hotkey feels more intuitive and opens up the D-pad to more interesting functions. The new quick camo system wasn't as useful in normal gameplay as I thought it was going to be, because I swear you can usually get better camo by still going into the menus, but that doesn't matter since it made Groznygrad infinitely more fun because it speeds up switching in and out of disguises. The camos themselves now have new indicators highlighting special functions, which is appreciated. The quick codec is awesome too, and the way it saves special frequencies really kicks ass. I didn't even know these frequencies stack until I played this remake. The codec screen itself has some unique tweaks. No longer will the vocal dialogue cut when trying to skip ahead. Thank Christ. The dialogue itself has now received a filter to give it an authentic radio sound. I actually kind of like it, in a similar way I like the reverb in the dialogue of MGS1. Makes the dialogue feel a little more authentic and immersive. This kind of thing also applies to the cinematics, which have better sound mixing overall.
Tell me something. How does it feel to spy on your own country?
I can't say it feels good, but it's my job.
Tell me something. How does it feel to spy on your own country?
I can't say it feels good, but it's my job.
If I had to speculate, I'm pretty sure they included the filter just to have the new recorded dialogue mesh better with the old recordings.
Snake, it's a movie, not a report out of Los Alamos. Snake, it's a movie, not a report out of Los Alamos. Snake, have you ever seen The War of the Worlds?
Regardless of how you feel about it, it's a consideration that I can appreciate to make this remake feel more at home on modern platforms. And speaking of cinematics, you can now pause the cutscenes, which for any outsider is a game changer for Metal Gear.
Just as I once created the Cobras, they are my family. I may no longer be able to bear children, but I still have a family.
Oh, yes! Yes!
It was November
No!
1st.
No!
Let yourself
I was in the
go.
Nevada.
Though it still doesn't hide the fact of just how many cutscenes there are. Skip. Pass. No thank you.
You passed.
Fuck. Damn! Jeez, I forgot I was playing a game. To touch back briefly on the visuals, I will contest that Delta is a far nicer looking game, and as a remake, I feel it does a commendable job of retaining everything that made the original endearing. Of course, some of the more nitpicky fans may take issue with how some characters are designed, or even how the color grading looks, but I'll put myself in the extreme minority when I say that I think every character looks substantially improved and environments look better than ever. It's tricky when you go one-to-one like this, because then eagle-eyed fans can spot glaring oversights more clearly, like with the Shadow of the Colossus remake. But truthfully, most one-to-one remakes always suffer from this to some degree. Delta, I feel, is admirable at just how much it retains even the smallest of facial expression detail. The Pachinko cinematics, on the other hand, I've never been that big of a fan of because of how stiff everyone looks. It's fidelity without the polish. Other additions like the lip syncing being far better now is icing on the cake. But really, my favorite are all the new CQC animations. It's all functionally no different from before, but the attention to detail given to them is sweet gravy. Regarding the color filters, most I've talked to admitted they prefer the more natural illumination of the default setting, opposed to the legacy style which mimics the original color grading. The piss yellow of the mid-2000s is an acquired taste, and I'll always prefer it here just because it looks more like Snake Eater to me. Either way, everybody wins. The game ran pretty good on PC outside the occasional stutter, but it was never distracting. The game being locked to 60 FPS? Doesn't really bother me to be honest. Performance varies on console, but I've ditched the console version this time around. The only visual nitpick I really have is the backgrounds and the cutscenes have heavy amounts of shimmering, and the shader compilation loading can get pretty fucking long. but I will appreciate how much quicker the general loading within the menus is. I suppose now would be a good time to talk about the new style of gameplay. After all, fancy graphics aside, does this release offer enough in gameplay to warrant double dipping? I'll come clean and admit I haven't played Metal Gear Solid 5 yet, but I understood that the new style would adapt the gameplay to feel more similarly to 5, rather than just the original controls with a third-person camera. As much as I respected and enjoyed how familiar the old style felt compared to the original, I'll be damned if I don't admit I had a considerable amount of more fun playing in the new style. There was a learning curve since the button placement and overall control scheme are quite different between the two. Rather than trying to remap everything, I insisted on sticking with default. It works quite well and definitely makes things like stabbing mushrooms far easier. Part of me still misses being able to change camera perspectives on the fly, but frankly the new style felt way better than the old camera that I don't really care. I prefer to have this more segmented approach. New style is functionally what the third-person camera from the original should have been. Compared to the old third-person camera, it's mostly the reworked button layout, third-person aiming, and crouch walking, with other more subtle tweaks. Being an Unreal Engine game now does mean the overall play feel is quite different to the original, but in general I found Snake to feel far more responsive in Delta. The analog controls felt more natural and the camera controls were a lot smoother with less latency, making aiming feel way better. Didn't even use gyro aiming, didn't feel it was needed. I wasn't sure about all the new enemy indicators and throw trajectory line thing, but that's all toggleable, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't appreciate their inclusions. I appreciate the bullet drop given to tranq rounds, as the game absolutely would be too easy without it. Though unfortunately scope sniping doesn't quite work in the new style, while still working fine in Legacy. The Konami code to snuff out the end still works in Legacy, but tough shit if you're playing in new style.
Play the game, Snake.
Oh shit, there it is. Fucking bird. Alright then. Boom!
She's dead.
Oh man, we're having dark meat tonight, you know what I'm saying? Oh shit. The way you cling to walls is also a little different. It feels more sticky since you had to actively press towards the wall in the original to cling to it, where Snake will stay on the wall until you press away from it now. Sometimes it feels a little clumsy, but I won't deny that it's always felt clumsy, so I don't know. The big addition is crouch walking. It's slow as shit in Legacy style, which I think is done to keep it from being too broken compared to crawling. On the other hand, in Legacy, it's so broken because it moves substantially faster. Never tried it on the 3DS version before because, come on, I'm not playing Snake Eater on the 3DS. Damn though, it does make a difference here. The adjustments to the camo index seem reasonable, so I don't see it as a hindering change. If you feel otherwise, then that's what the higher difficulties are for, which seem more approachable now thanks to some appreciable accommodations. Extra menu inscriptions to indicate certain requirements, a tracker for all those dumbass frogs, and there's even more of them now. So if they bring this to Switch 2, are they gonna bring back Yoshi? The big one, actually, to be dead ass, is the inclusion of a load option in the menu. Look, you gotta understand the misery of trying to do a run and having to painstakingly go back to the title, past the production logos, get through the title, select load, and finally select the file. 40 goddamn seconds every time. Having a load option plus autosaving fixes all that. Don't need save states anymore, you can just load. Having the game set to new style also updates the title screen, the opening intro, and obtains a new cover of the song Snake Eater. I'm glad they retained the original intro when set to Legacy, but they just had to slap a damn AI filter on it and it looks like complete shit. The new intro is cool, and it's nice that they've kept all the dumb extra bullshit you can do during it. Honestly, I'm inclined to go a little easier on this remake just because it seamlessly coexists with the original, and because it's a far better remake than Twin Snakes. The best thing I can say is playing the new style was close enough to almost feel like a completely new game, and this is right after playing this game several times back to back. I'll be real and admit this will be how I play Snake Eater from now on. MGS 3 is one of my favorites in the franchise, and I won't lie, this version looks and plays pretty great. I'm interested in this franchise's future because it's certainly possible we're going to get more remakes of previous titles, and hopefully one more Master Collection volume that contains the rest of the series, plus an actual decent way to play MGS 4. If more remakes are on the horizon, then I do feel Delta offers a better template compared to Twin Snakes. But that's enough about remakes for now. Sorry for not uploading for a while. Originally, I wanted to have this one out before Delta came out, but that didn't quite happen. The next few videos shouldn't be too long in the future. After that, I've thought about doing some live streams, but I can't guarantee how often I'd be able to do it. Until then, thanks for choosing to watch this video. That should just about do it for me today, so the only thing left for me to say is thank you for watching.
You're better.